Back now to our coverage of Derek Chauvin's murder conviction.
This morning, reaction is still pouring in, not just from Minnesota, but from across the country. For more on that, let's go to MSNBC anchor Yasmin Vossoughian. She's joining us from Brooklyn, New York. Yasmin, good morning. Now, I know you spoke with people who were gathered at the Barclays Center, which here in New York has become a gathering point all throughout the summer. That's where we saw many people gathering as well. And you were there as this verdict was read. What did they have to say?
I was. You're completely right, Savannah. It was really a flashpoint last summer. I was covering that as well, the George Floyd protests last summer. It was a flashpoint between a lot of police officers and protesters throughout the summer. But here we were again. Yesterday, we arrived a few minutes before the verdict was read, Savannah, and it was a real mixed bag of emotions. They actually had a speaker set up in front of Barclays Center as folks were gathering around and listening to the verdicts being read. And there was this real sort of jubilation and celebration as each verdict was read, as each charge was read, second-degree murder, third-degree murder, manslaughter as well. But as the night progressed, a lot of folks communicated to me that they felt like it was a mixed bag of emotions, as if they couldn't really handle what was happening because they were really surprised that Derek Chauvin was charged on all three counts, and yet they didn't really know what was next, what was actually going to change, if this was really going to change things. As the day ticked on, the crowd size grew and grew. It really ballooned. I mean, when we first started, there were maybe 3 or 4 people, to be honest, gathering around 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, awaiting the reading of that verdict. By 8 p.m., 9 p.m. last night, I mean, the whole Barclays Center, the whole front of the Barclays Center was completely full. They then left the front of the Barclays Center, Savannah, and they marched all the way up towards Grand Army Plaza. We marched with them for quite some time, and I talked to some folks about their reactions to the verdict. Let's take a listen to what they had to say.
By marching, we're making a statement to open a lot of people's eyes and say that this small step that found Derek Chauvin guilty is just a small step towards real change.
Kind of shocking. I figured 2 out of 3, but the fact they got all 3, I was like, kind of shocking.
You know, and I heard that a lot of shock. A lot of folks did not expect for him to be guilty on all 3 charges, considering the history that we've had with police brutality in this country and the convictions that have come down, or the lack thereof, I should say, when it comes to police brutality towards black men and women in this country. There was a lot of shock, but a lot of relief. One man saying to me, it's as if he could breathe after a year, seeing that video played over and over again with Derek Chauvin's knee on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes on May 25th of last year, Savannah.
Yasmin, Chauvin's sentencing is expected in 8 weeks, so we'll see what happens then. But already people are calling for reforms that go well beyond this one case. What did people tell you about what they want to see?
So, Joe, it's interesting. I actually spoke to DeRay McKesson. We all know DeRay McKesson. He kind of rose to fame after the killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson. He is a black rights activist out of the Baltimore area. And he talked about a lot of the reforms that happened in Maryland recently. Major reforms happened. He felt like that was a step in the right direction. Maybe there'd be some federal reforms considering what happened on the local level in Maryland. And I'm hearing the same message yesterday and today, as well, as I was speaking to folks as to what are the next steps. Everybody said, OK, this is a step in the right direction, right? This is a charge. These are charges that we wanted to see happen. We wanted accountability when it came to Derek Chauvin and what he did to George Floyd. But we want to see change happen. We want to see conversations happening. We want to see changes on the police level, police reform as well. I spoke to Jumaane Williams. He is the New York City public advocate. Basically, he's the voice of the people here. And he talked to me about the fact that we need to start having conversations now. This is one step in the right direction, but we need to start talking to see real reform. Let's take a listen to what he has to say.
We definitely can't rest on a conviction, especially one that was supposed to happen. But what we have to remember is that we have trouble having honest conversations about race, about the root of bigotry and racism in the tree of America. And until we have that conversation, it's hard to move forward. So my hope is maybe this is a step in that direction, a real step. You know, we spent a year screaming Black Lives Matter, but we spent a year hearing people saying everything except the right response. We kept hearing all lives matter, kept hearing blue lives matter, as if we said it didn't. The correct answer to Black Lives Matter is yes, it does. And how do we make sure that that's real? And not just in policing, in healthcare, in education. That's the work that needs to still happen.
And that's a lot of what I heard, Joe and Savannah. Kind of hope that there would be reform ahead. There were folks that were hopeless as well, thinking things may not change no matter what happened with Derek Chauvin. But from Jemana Williams, as you heard there, some hope for a conversation that we have ahead to some reforms in this country.
Yasmin, thank you so much for your reporting.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.